We say good afternoon to Barry Tramel. Hello, Barry.
Hey, guys, how's it going?
We're doing well. How about you?
I'm great.
You know, here's what you did today. You've got some Midwestern sensibilities that we need to transfer to the East Coast somehow. I don't know how we're going to do this. We're working on it, but it's just not really taking thus far.
Well, we're down here in the crossroads, really. Sometimes people think we're South, and sometimes think we're Midwest, and sometimes think we're the American frontier. So we don't always know what we are either.
Well, what I found interesting in your piece today in the Oklahoman, and I put it, if people want to see it, I put it on my Twitter account. It's at @Dan_Bernstein on Twitter. And talking about the penalties upcoming, not just what the penalties will be for this biggest sports scandal in our lifetimes, but from where they will originate, and focusing on the importance of it being self-done rather than imposed by the NCAA. And what I thought was significant about what you wrote is that if it comes from the NCAA, if that happens, and you wrote this, that if the NCAA brings down Penn State football, Happy Valley just assumes a victim's mentality. We've already seen some of that fester through Joe Paterno's family, which keeps jabbering about how Paterno's been wrongfully portrayed. And that's a point that really resonated with me. You have to take off the table this image of them as victimized by everybody and everything else.
Yeah, and you know what, we saw that early on in the when this the Harrisburg paper uncovered this thing back in November, that Penn State, which has been treated about as royally by the American sports media as any institution or organization of the last century, all of a sudden, people are out to get us, and people don't understand us, and it's a conspiracy. But the truth of the matter is that Penn State, the curtain was sort of lifted, and we saw that the Wizard of Oz is not who we thought he was, and it's a case of Penn State. I feel like really needs to sort of come clean, and they don't need to be taken before the court of justice somewhere. They need to, fall down at the altar and have a come to Jesus meeting and admit their own sins and say, here, we know what we did was wrong, and this is what we need to do about it.
It's so funny, you keep thinking that's what they should do. You don't really want, and maybe it'll do no good in the end, but this is a program that makes $53 million a year, one of the highest amounts in the NCAA, and has been for a long, long time. You point out their history and how they've been treated by everyone. Do you think there's a chance they'll do this? I mean, because we're only asking them to do the right thing, I guess.
No, I don't. For the reasons you said, just from a financial reasoning, I don't see any way they would make this decision, because it would have enormous ramifications. That's really why the NCAA doesn't go around doing it anymore. I mean, SMU in the 80s, they weren't any more renegade than several programs we've seen. We've had some in our backyard here in Oklahoma City that's been on the scandalous side. But the money we're talking about is so enormous in terms of jobs and in terms of economic impacts, and it's an enormous decision. And one, the NCAA has just sort of said, we don't have the belly for this anymore. So for someone to do it themselves is really asking a lot. However, it is the one thing that would work. I mean, if you're looking for